Okay, so before we go any further with this review, I'll admit I am still in my Batman pyjamas. There we go, and I don't care. So hello and yes, welcome back to another album review with me, Rockboy680. Now today I'm doing a very interesting album. Today I'm doing an album which generally is out of my league. I'll admit it. When it comes to Floyd, I'm not the biggest expert, I'm not the biggest fan, I generally shouldn't be here talking about them. But you guys know me, when I get album review requests, I like to do my requests. And I got a request in to review Pink Floyd's Animals. And this is an album I generally do enjoy. So I thought, you know what? I will come on and talk about this album. It's an album which I really like. I've heard it quite a few times now. So I can kind of feel the ground beneath my feet with this album, I guess is the way to describe it. However, before we get down to the album review, I will admit to the die-hard Floyd fans who are here watching this review, I will admit straight off the bat, I'm not the most knowledgeable guy on Pink Floyd. My opinions are probably not going to be completely lined up with the, big Floyd fans. I'm not the biggest fan. But I'm going to give it a shot. So anyway, we'll crack down to the review. So anyway, I'm going to do the usual in this review. I'm going to give you a bit of information on the album. We're going to go over each track individually and mark each track individually out of 10. I'm going to show you my copy of the vinyl record, and we're going to mark the artwork and the album design out of 10. And then once all that's done, we're going to take every score I've given, add it all up, divide it by the total number of scores given. Now give us an overall mark for the album out of 10. But we're not done there, because then we're going to head over to my album ranking board. We're going to place it on the album ranking board and see where it ranks compared to other albums I've reviewed here on this channel. So anyway, Pink Floyd Animals. Yes, we've all seen the cover. This was Pink Floyd's 10th studio album, released on the 23rd of January 1977. Managed to hit number 2 in the UK and number 3 in the US. Just missing out on the number 1 spots. However, it did hit number 1 in 3 countries. So overall was a very successful, very well received album. This is really the first of the Roger Waters albums where he started to push in. We've had a lot of David Gilmour stuff. And this is where Roger Waters really takes control. This is really his album between the two, Roger Waters and David Gilmour. The album itself has this kind of theme going through it. And I saw this in another video online, someone else talking about this album. He compared it to George Orwell's Animal Farm. And especially on tracks like Sheep, you can really hear that actually. Because I remember when I was at school and when I was in English, we had to analyse George Orwell's Animal Farm, the book and the British film that was made in the 90s or early 2000s. And, being quite familiar with that, the animals in George Orwell's Animal Farm really all felt every animal should be equal on the farm. Horse, sheep, pig. And it's kind of a theme going throughout this album as well. So that's pretty cool. Each song kind of has its own little story behind it. Again, I don't know the most about the stories here. But I've done my research. I've done the best I can to find out as much information as I could. So it's a very interesting album. There's a lot to go over. So anyway, now that part is done, let's move on to the track. So the opening track is called Pigs on a Wing Part 1. And this is a very short, literally minute piece track. So it's very hard to rate this one out of 10. But anyway, it's an acoustic ballad type song, really, if that's such a thing. And it kind of strings the album together because you have a very identical piece at the end of the album, which we'll get to when we get to the end of the album. And of course, you have this middle track, which is called Pig, 3 different parts, or 3 different ones, sorry, in the middle. So you kind of get, you basically get 5 tracks on this album. You get track 1, 3, and 5 are all kind of tied together in some format. So it's like it really holds this whole album together. This Pigs theme. It's the lyrics. There's not really much to the lyrics. I read apparently that it's a kind of love song from Roger Waters to his wife, or at the time his new wife, because he'd just recently been married. So it's meant to be a love song. But trying to pick that up in the lyrics, I guess you can in certain parts, but bit tricky. But anyway, the acoustic, it's a nice sounding song. You know, talking about the music itself here, it's a very nice, slow acoustic song. Again, it's very nice. I like the vocals. The acoustic work is very plain, very simple, but it's very nice. It goes very well with the vocals. It sounds nice. However, of course, it's so short and the song really doesn't go anywhere. It's not a memorable track, really. I mean, it's memorable for the album because, you know, without this piece, the album wouldn't have the kind of cool theme going for it of this pig 3-part piece. So it is memorable. But if it was a standalone song, would it be memorable? Not at all. It's a minute piece that really doesn't go anywhere or do anything. So I'm marking this one out of 10. It's very hard because it's a very short song. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you can't really mark that one out of 10. You should really just mark the 3 main tracks out of 10. But however, the band did choose to put this as a track on the album, a standalone track. It's got its own title. So I am going to mark it out of 10. And I'm going to say I say anything below a 5 is bad, anything above a 5 is good. And it is a good song. It is enjoyable for the minute it lasts. And the lyrics are quite creative. And yeah, I'm just going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's a fun song. Not really much against it, but there's not much going for it. But anyway, then we move into a track called Dogs. Dogs, what a track. Oh god, that felt kind of funny, me saying it. We move on to Dogs. Dogs, yeah, it sounds like I'm saying something dirty. We're going to move on to some dogging. Whoops. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting a bit carried away now. Anyway, this is the only one which is credited to Waters and Gilmour, which is a very interesting track, really. Reading online, lyrically, and there's a lot of different things behind the lyrics to this track, but one of them which I found really interesting was that it's really more of a metaphor to kind of the dog-eat-dog world that we say, you know, especially here in the UK. I hear it a lot. Don't know about anywhere else in the world, but here in the UK you hear that saying a lot. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And the lyrics really are about that. They're not actually really too much about dogs. I guess they are in a way, and then they're not in a way. It's very hard to talk about. So yeah, it's a very interesting lyrics song. And the song really kind of feels like a bit of a throwback to Wish You Were Here, this album here. You know, it really kind of feels like they're revisiting that album in a way, and it's kind of like a bit of a throwback track, which is nice. I like it. It's a very long song, of course. It pretty much is the whole A-side of the record, apart from the first minute. It starts with this really nice kind of acoustic feel to it, which kind of leads very nicely off Pigs on the Wing, part 1. You know, it kind of has a very nice feel to it, feeling, coming off of the opening track. And I really like how the song kind of builds tension throughout as well. It's done very well. And yeah, I mean, not everyone agrees with me here, because I've seen a couple people online say the opposite to what I'm going to say now. But I actually quite like the vocals on this one. It would have been very interesting to see David Gilmour's take on it, and there might be a version of him out there doing it live or something, I don't know. But I quite like the vocals on here. It has great guitar work for it, from David Gilmour, of course, fantastic guitar work, in fact. The song is broken up really well, so it holds our interest, because, you know, when you get long songs, I'm going to go back to an album which I recently reviewed, Steve Winwood debut album. That album has a lot of long tracks on, but they don't go anywhere. There's no cool solos in many of them tracks. They generally are very long, boring songs that don't go anywhere. This track holds up well because it goes through all these different stages, has a lot of different things going on. It really holds our interest. You don't know what's coming next. There's some cool guitar solos in it. There's some cool keyboard solos in it. It's just a very fun, creative song. It really holds your interest as a listener, and it's a good song. So I'm going to give this track an 8 out of 10. Then we move on to the second side of the record, where it is mainly built up of 2 very long songs. Not quite as long as Dogs, but still quite long songs. And then, of course, we have the little duddy on the end, which we'll get to. But, of course, opening up side 1, it's Pigs, 3 different ones, and another, all back to Roger Waters now. That was the only one which was credited to David Gilmour, their Dogs. So it is all onto Mr. Waters now. And again, lyrically, there's a few things that people can take from this song as well. But one of the ones which I found interesting was the song. Roger Waters actually goes out of his way here to call out Mary Wire in this song. And, you know, not being around at the time, obviously, I don't really know too much about her. But you know, I remember hearing about her when I was at school, thinking history or English or one of them classes. She was basically protesting and kind of trying to stand up and clean up TV because she felt back in the early 70s that TV was getting way too influenced by things like sex and drugs. So I think she was just trying to clean it up. And anyway, Roger Waters in this track really goes out of his way to kind of let her know that, you know, or to kind of shout her out in it almost, you know. So it's very interesting. But lyrically, there's a lot of different things going on in it again. Pink Floyd lyrics, I always find are really hard to analyse. I know there's a lot of people who can do it really well and really easily, but for me, I kind of find it hard to analyse their lyrics. But anyway, it's very good. It's got good lyrics to it. It's very interesting. It opens with the sound of pigs at the start, which is very, you know, I mean, it kind of fits it. You hear all these songs are named after animals, so it's actually nice to kind of hear the animals, I guess, kind of relate to the song a bit. With this great guitar work going over the top by, of course, Mr. Gilmour, which sounds fantastic. I don't love the vocals on this one. That's my fault with the song. I'm not a huge fan on the vocal performance. But Gilmour's guitar really holds this song up really well, and the lyrics are very good. So I don't love this song as much as Dogs, but it's still pretty good. So I'm going to give this track a 7 out of 10. Then we move on to a track called Sheep, and this is most people's favourite track on the album. I would probably say my second or third. It's a very interesting song. Starts with this very slow kind of sound. I think it's an organ of some sort, which takes its time to start. You know, you're thinking, how long is this going to go on? You're like, maybe a minute and a half into it, and the organ's still just going, do-do-do-do-do. It's like, come on, let's get going. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're in the song like that. I loved how they done that. It just comes straight in. It's a cracking start to the track. It really just holds up well, I think. It's a much more upbeat rocking track for the album. Great guitar work on it. Great lyrics. Great vocals. It's a very good song. I do personally prefer Dogs myself. So I'm going to give this track a 7 out of 10. And then we're already on to the last track. We're on to Pigs on the Wing Part 2. And again, it's pretty much identical to Part 1. And a couple differences in it, obviously. But really, it's a very similar sounding song. It's very short. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a fun little duddy kind of song. So, yeah, I'm just going to be very fair to that one. I'll give that one the same score I gave Part 1. I'll give that a 6 out of 10 as well. So anyway, believe it or not, that is it for the tracks. 5 tracks, pretty easy. I like that. It makes my job here a lot easier because I don't have to do as many notes. So anyway, now we're going to have a look at the album artwork. So here is the cover, of course, a very famous cover here of, hang on, I did write it down, Battersea Power Station. And of course, I should know that, being in the UK. I literally go past this so many times on the train when I'm headed into London. But I like the cover of the pig flying up here. Of course, another very famous saying, especially here in the UK, pigs might fly. You know, it's like when you know, it's when you're gonna say something very rare, like oh, I don't know, you know, aliens are gonna fall from the sky and pigs might fly, kind of thing. You know, it's like it's a very famous saying and a very funny one, very cool one actually. So I really love the cover actually. If I was just marking the cover, I would give the cover a 10 out of 10. But of course, I do want to mark the whole album artwork as a whole. I really like how the kind of whacked myself there with the cover. How it goes onto the back, which is nice. You get the track listing down here. I love the font that they've used there. I guess it's a gatefold, which of course is always better. Quite interesting here. I'm not sure what all the photos are about. Some of them here just off a roof in a shed or something like that. But you can see them blowing up the pig here, slowly letting him up over the power station. So yeah, it would have been nice to have a picture of the band really in there, is my only thought. Get inner sleeve, which is good. They haven't just given you a plain white one. And the label is pretty cool too. Anyway, got don't know what that is. Got something on. Oh, it's got on the record again. There we go. So yeah, it needs a bit of a dust, my copy, but it's very nice condition, very nice. So yeah, album artwork wise, I really like it. The only thing I wish was there a picture of the band. I mean, I know the band aren't the most attractive looking band out there, I guess. They always kind of look like they were drugged up really well. But, you know, it's just always nice to see a picture of the artist, I guess. So it would have been nice to have a picture of him the band inside. But anyway, that is it. The album artwork, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I really like it. So anyway, that's it. All scores given. And I've added up all the scores, so all 5 tracks plus the album artwork. And I've divided it by 6 because that's how many scores have been given. And Pink Floyd's Animals out of 10 is going to get for me a 7.2. So a pretty good score. I'm very happy with that. That's definitely whereabouts I'd rank this album anyway. You know, back when I was doing my old album reviews, when I was just going, I wasn't doing the points, I was just doing 7, 6, 8, 9 or whatever. I probably would have gone 7, maybe on a good day an 8. So anyway, 7.2, I feel very strongly about that. I'm very happy with that score. But anyway, now what we got to do is we got to head over to the album ranking board, put it on the album ranking board and see where it ranks compared to other albums I've reviewed on this channel. So here is the album ranking board, of course. Got to say, first time I've said this actually, but it's really filling up quite quickly, the album ranking board now. But anyway, here is my slip for Pink Floyd's Animals there at 7.2. And actually, there is another album on this list which has scored a 7.2. That's John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy. So it's got the same as that. I would put it opposite it, but maybe I can. I might have to move this one down. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, hang on. This one's been on there for quite a while. This is, one I'm moving is Lindsey Buckingham's Go Insane, which got 7.1. I'll show you guys that one. There it is. So I'm going to move that one down so it's just above the line. There we go. So, blue tack's getting everywhere. Got really big budgets here on this channel, you see. Blue tack. Anyway, here it is. It's going to go just there, right opposite Double Fantasy. And, oh, hang on. Here we go. It's on. There we go. So, Pink Floyd's Animals. It has managed to beat out Lindsey Buckingham's Go Insane, Paul McCartney's debut album, Phil Collins' Hello I Must Be Going, George Harrison's 33 1/3, Phil Collins' Face Value, Steve Winwood, The Electric Light Orchestra, No Answer, The Who, Face Dances, and John Lennon and Yoko Ono Sometime in New York City. It has tied with John Lennon and Yoko Ono's Double Fantasy. However, it has been beaten out by Pete Gabriel's debut album, Mudcrutch's Mudcrutch 2, David Bowie Hunky Dory, Eric Clapton I Still Do, Mudcrutch's Mudcrutch, Paul McCartney Ram, Eric Clapton Back Home, and right at the very top there, on a massive 9.4, Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. So, Pink Floyd, pretty good spot there. So, anyway, that is it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had actually quite a lot of fun talking about Floyd there. It was quite interesting, because I don't do too many Floyd videos. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So anyway, I'm going to come back with another album review for you guys soon. Of course, this album was requested, so if you have requests, please let us know in the comments, because I am happy to do requests. Normally, I only do albums that I own, though, so I will say, if you've seen me show an album in a vinyl update or in a previous video, ask for one of them albums, because if I don't own the album, it might take me a bit of time to get around to doing the review. But anyway, of course, requests are always welcome. I will have a video coming early next week of Eric Clapton's self-titled debut album coming. I want to kickstart my Eric Clapton reviews, because you guys know how much I love Eric Clapton. And like what I'm doing with Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins and Paul McCartney, I kind of want to start from Eric Clapton's first album and then just make my way through, just in chronological order. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm rambling now. Let's end the video. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a message. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.